with a library and a foundation on the south side of Chicago, not only will we be able to encourage and affect change locally, but what we can also do is to attract the world to Chicago.
I'm thrilled to be able to put this resource in the heart of the neighborhood that means the world to me. Every value, every memory, every important relationship to me exists in Chicago. I consider myself a Southsider.
The President and First Lady released this video on their foundation's website earlier this week, making it official. University of Chicago will host the Barack Obama Presidential Library. Here to share the latest on how Chicago earned the honor and what's next is Dr. Leon Finney. You're on the committee to bring it here. You know, it was the worst kept secret of life. I mean, everyone was saying it was coming to Chicago long before the video was released. How did that happen?
Well, I think that the President of the United States has to always be the President of the United States. And so he couldn't relegate that office just to one city and to an area. So there had to be some effort to make sure that the entire United States of America was comfortable, whatever decision that was to be made. So there was at one time New York City, Hawaii, and Chicago, which has kind of split the nation into its more important components. You know, one on the west side, then down in the South Sea, and then Chicago. But I think that the vetting process ultimately brought it about, I think, because both Barack Obama and Michelle Obama are from Chicago, and she is a real native Chicagoan.
Yes, yes. What were you guys up against in the committee? What were you talking about? What were you, going back and forth with in the meetings?
And that's a good question. I think that the main concern was, can we build consensus among us here in Chicago in order to bring the library to Chicago? And if you recall, during the news account showed that for a while there was no real consensus. There were those of us who thought it ought to be. Some people from the south side thought it would be on the south side. West siders thought it to be on the west side. We had a unity breakfast and between the south side and the west side, meaning the University of Illinois and the University of Chicago. A unity breakfast. We say, hey, look, as long as one of us gets it, it's great.
As long as it's in the city.
Yeah, it's great for the city. And then, of course, we had to bring the Friends of the Park along.
Which they're not real happy.
Yeah, they're not real happy. But along the way, it became apparent that the Friends of the Park spoke for a very, very small minority of Chicagoans. And so along the way, we organized the people for the parks. And so that brought additional conversation, and I thought the issues came out quite well. So at the bottom line, we get the library, and now the work begins.
So between the two, Washington Park and Jackson Park, how tough is that going to be? Will the final decision be the First Lady and the President's on that, or will the committee be the ones to come up with that?
I think it's going to get down to economics. What's the business judgment now? We know it's going to be in the city of Chicago. So what is a good business place? I see. And the question is, you have to balance out what is good for the revenue generator, which is the library itself and visitation, over and against what's good for the immediate community and how it impacts immediate community. So you've got Washington Park on the west end, and you have
Jackson Park South Shore area,
yeah, on the east. And so I think that my years of serving on the planning commission, which were 32 that I spent on the Chicago Planning Commission, would say from a planning point of view, it should be on the east side, from a planning park. Yes, Jackson Park. Mainly because it's part of the corridor of cultural edifices and programs.
And you've got La Rabida over there. You've got the people coming there to golf all the time over there. You've got 71st Street just a little further down from Jeffrey. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. We'll see what happens. Yes.